Welcome back to Time Out with J and G. It's J over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
And today we are back. It's our first episode since the NBA draft happened on Wednesday and Thursday night. And we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna cover the draft, cover a couple free agency news, just some stuff that's been going on. And is there anything you want to hit on before we kind of dive into basketball?
Not really. I'm excited for the free agency and what we're gonna see this offseason.
Yeah, for sure. And how are you doing today? It's a nice warm Saturday afternoon. We just got done recording some stuff for my YouTube channel. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, feeling great. We got that workout at the gym yesterday. A little sore, but I'm feeling great.
Yeah, we did. We went yesterday. I went again this morning. Just doing my thing. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. And you have here on the screen, we have the Atlanta Hawks and the Washington Wizards, and I have that gameplay up because obviously those teams had the first two picks. The Atlanta Hawks at number one take Zachary Rishashar, either like one of those, and then at number two, the Washington Wizards take Alex Sarr. Now, we're going to start with the NBA draft. We're going to kind of go through, we're going to read off every pick. I'm going to read off every pick, and we're not going to grade it. We're just going to talk about it. Some picks we aren't going to talk about that much, I feel like, but I just want to kind of every team deserves to be represented, so I figure we just talk a little bit about every pick, and then we can get into a couple different trades that have happened if you're good with that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so obviously, number one is Zachary Rishashar. Again, I'm going to always screw up how to pronounce that until we really start hearing it. Goes number one to the Atlanta Hawks. What do you think about the pick?
I mean, I like it. I really do, especially since the Hawks just traded away DeJounte Murray. I feel like this kind of solidifies that Trae Young is going to be their number one, and bring in a young wing like Zachary. It's just going to help them progress because Trae Young is still young.
Yeah.
Playing on words there, but he's still young, and when you give him a young asset like this, as long as they do their moves correctly, they have Double O that should be starting here soon instead of Clint, depending on what they do with him. But I just like the move and I like the pick.
For sure. Yeah, no, he's like I say, he's got pretty decent, I think, yeah, he's 6'9", 195. He's not, doesn't have the strength you're maybe looking for at this point in time, but he's young. He's 18, 19, so he's really, really young. But again, 6'9" wing, a guy that can shoot the ball. I know he went through a bit of a slump last year, but he's a guy that can shoot the ball. He's got the build to grow into being a good defender. I don't think he's going to be a great defender right away because of just his lack of size, strength-wise. But as a guy that could very much develop into a good defender for them, it really kind of threw them for a loop when Alex Sarr refused the interview with them, refused to work out. I don't even know if they would have took him because, like I said, they still have Clint Capella on the roster as of right now. They have Onyeka Okongwu, so maybe they wouldn't have took Alex Sarr, and they're maybe this is just a better need for them because, yeah, Trae Young could still, like I said, there's a world where Trae Young gets moved on because, like I said, the DeJounte trade. I think it's almost for certain Clint Capella is going to get moved on. But it's now you have guys possibly a Trae Young. You have Jalen Johnson, Kobe Buffkin, DeAndre Hunter, maybe. Now you have Zachary Rishashar. You have Onyeka. You have some young pieces that, if you want to go into a rebuild, you have a couple pieces you can rely on to kind of get you through that with Jalen, with Zachary, with Kobe Buffkin, and Onyeka. You know what I mean? So it's I think this Hawks team is probably a good 3 or so years away from competing in the playoffs, and I'm just not sure if Trae Young's going to want to wait for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. It just depends on how these young guys progress. You know what I mean? If they come out and the guys that are there, like Jalen Johnson, Double O, Kobe Buffkin, if those guys progress faster than what we think, then it could be a shorter, time till they are in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Instead of the play-in, they're making the playoffs.
So number two is obviously Alex Sarr. What do you give me some of that? What do you think?
I mean, I like the fit. Washington, I feel like they need a good young big man, which now they have, and I feel like Alex Sarr could start from day one. You know what I mean? And Washington's defense was not the greatest last year. So I feel like you get someone in there that can be an elite shot blocker. And I mean, and for the long term, he's just a good building block for the franchise.
Yeah. No,
And it
100.
just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Right away, he's going to be a good interior defender for them. A team that, like I said, they have like Marvin Bagley, they have like Rashawn Holmes. Um, they're getting more versatility. You saw some flashes that he can be a jump shooter. He can hit jump shots. He can maybe even be somewhat of a ball handler. I don't know how that's going to translate to the NBA, but a guy that you can put the ball in his hands and let him like open his own game up and stuff like that. I don't know, man. Like it's going to be. Again, he's also a guy that's 7 foot 224. Maybe size wise, like height wise, obviously, but like strength wise, might take him a couple years to fully develop into being the best defender he can with just getting some strength on his body and a little bit more weight. You know, kind of the same thing we said about Vic, but we saw how great Vic was as a defender this year. So it's like kind of a similar mold in the fact of like they have the tools, you just might need to like let them develop their body a little bit more before they're really, really impactful. I think this would be great for them, man. I think they're really like the Wizards are. They obviously traded Denny, which was a strange trade for me at least. I'm sure you kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
Brought in Malcolm Brogdon. They have like I don't know. They also drafted Bub Carrington, so it's like maybe you have your potential future point guard in Bub. You have, Alex Sarr. You have Bilal Coulibaly, who you took top 10 last year. You still have Kuzma you can trade. You still have Jordan Poole. I don't think you can trade in the next 2 years. Honestly, he's got like 3 years on his contract. I don't think you can trade Jordan Poole until his last year of his contract. I just don't think they're going to be able to get off that contract. So it's like you have, again, like the Hawks, you have pieces. Now, obviously, the Wizards are in the rebuild where the Hawks are kind of like teetering. But it's like I think this Wizards team has pieces where they could build, and again, a 3 to 4 year span. Alex Sarr could be a top 10 center in this league, and they're really fighting for the playoffs.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Next, at number 3, the Houston Rockets take Reed Sheppard.
So, Reed Sheppard, I like the fit here. Right, the Rockets needed some depth for the guard spots, and Reed Sheppard can play both the point and the shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
In college, he shot 52.1% from 3.
Yeah.
Shot over 50%. He can ball handle. He can play make. He's a good defender. And having someone...
He's definitely more of a team defender than he is a one-on-one defender.
And having a guy like Fred VanVleet, who's also an undersized guard, that'll help him. You know what I mean? I feel like he came into the best possible scenario he could have in Houston.
Yeah, no, I like the pick too, because like I said, I don't think you have Freddie for more than another year or two, and like obviously you might develop Amin Thompson to being the full-time point guard, but like you can figure that out. Amin's such a great defender that like Reed Sheppard, like I said, as a one-on-one defender, Reed Sheppard isn't as good as he looked with like his team defenders at Kentucky, or was it Kentucky? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, because I know in some of the workouts he was doing, in some of the situations where he got put in ISO ball, he kind of, but like next to Amin Thompson, who's a great defender already at a young age, it's like I think you can kind of hide that for a little bit until you really develop a little bit more. Obviously they still have Jalen Green. We don't know what's going on with him. He could be traded and they could bring in more assets for him. But I you know what? I like it. I think he's going to be off the bench. I do. I think you're going to run a lineup of like Freddie, Jalen Green, Tari or Cam Whitmore. At the 3, Jabari, and then Alperen Sengun, unless I'm forgetting somebody big, which I might be, but I don't think I am.
I don't think you are. I think that's about that sounds about right.
But yeah, then like I said, give Reed Sheppard a year or two behind Freddie, behind Jalen Green, behind Amin, to kind of like develop himself a little bit more. And like I said, he shot like 50 plus %. I don't think it was on a lot of attempts, but it's like again, if you're gonna be in the backcourt with Amin Thompson, you've got to be able to stretch the floor. So I think it's a good pick. I think it's another one of those things where they're looking 2 years down the line with this pick, but I like it.
Oh, I do too. I feel it was a good pickup.
Next, at 4, the San Antonio Spurs take Stephon Castle.
I'd love this pick. I really do. This is because they took Wemby last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Castle has wanted to play point guard. And coming into San Antonio, that is a need that is something that they have needed.
Mm-hmm.
And he just came off a national championship, which he helped contribute to a good bit, and he does the little things that is needed to be done. And I feel like if he can improve his jump shot,
Yeah.
then he could have a case for being the best player in the draft.
Ah, damn. Okay. Okay.
I feel like he's got he's got everything he needs. He improves that jump shot, and he can complement Wemby. This Spurs team is going to look very dangerous in the next 4 years, maybe even sooner.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the pick as well. Like I said, the biggest thing with him right now is just being able to shoot the ball. I think he shot like 27% from three, which isn't great. But a team like the Spurs, they still have a. I think people were starting to jump the gun a little bit. I think us included with like bringing in these great pieces around Wemby to like see if we can build them up right now. I think they're taking the smarter approach. They're giving themselves a couple years to get in some young talent and rebuild with Wemby. But yeah, no, he could definitely take that point guard role. He can play the two guard as well if they need him to in certain substitutions and packages and stuff like that. Like I said, he's a good defender. He had a lot of the number one option. He defended a lot of number one options in college, and that's something that the Spurs are going to need help with perimeter defense. Obviously, you have Wemby, you have Devin Vassell. Like, it's just getting a guy in that guard spot that could be a damn good defender is going to be huge for them. And I think, like I said, for Stefan Castle, it's going to be the biggest thing for him is going to be, can he learn to shoot the ball, or not learn to shoot, but like can he be a better shooter? 27% is not going to cut. If he can become like at league average 35%, I think the Spurs will be happy with that. They just need him to be able to consistently space the floor, especially for Vic down below. But no, this has a potential, man. This has potential to be crazy. You know what? Maybe it's a little bold to say he could be best player in this draft if he develops a jump shot, but I can't say you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he did. They said 27% on about 2.5 attempts a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that obviously has to come up. But I think when it's all said and done in like 5 to 10 years, and looking back on this, I feel like he has a chance. Depending on the jump shot, obviously. Even then, I feel like if he still plays good, he could be the best player out of the draft.
Yeah. Next, at number 5, the Detroit Pistons take Ron Holland out of the G League.
The Pistons just need a wing-esque player. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, they already have Cade, they have Jaden Ivey, they have a Sir Thompson, they have Jalen Duren. They just need that next player that they could potentially insert into the starting lineup because we don't know what's going to be going on with Isaiah Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I like it. I feel like he's a little bit raw offensively, and I feel they can refine it a little bit more. But I do like the pick.
Yeah, I do as well. His shooting was pretty rough last year. I don't want to say rough, more like streaky, if I really want to put it that way. But again, he's like 18. He's like 18 or 19. So it's like he has so much room to grow. But the Pistons also have a lot, like you said, the Pistons have a lot going for them. But that's also maybe a bad thing, because how are they going to develop all these guys at the same time? You know what I mean? They can't all have the ball. They can't all be getting what they need to be doing. And it's like at some point you got like I said, Cade, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland now, Jalen Duren, I know Asar. It's like you have a lot of pieces you're trying to develop, but it's like at some point it's like the OKC thing. It's like at what point do you have too many pieces that need to develop, and you got to start bringing in like NBA ready guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can help day one, and I think he'll be able to help defensively day one for sure. And it's like you might get a 10-game stretch where he shoots 40% from three, followed by a 10-game stretch where he shoots 25% from three. So it's like you just got to hope he consistently finds his jump shot, kind of like a Stefan Castle type of thing, where it's like if he can space the floor consistently, he could be a crazy versatile weapon for the Pistons. A guy they can put out there. It's weird. It's like, I don't want to say but they kind of drafted Asar Thompson in back-to-back years now.
Yeah.
And it's
I can
like,
see that.
how many of those people can you have on the court at the same time? Like,
not a whole lot. If they can't really shoot the three ball, then it gets a little tough.
like if you have a lineup, let's say Isaiah Stewart's there, like a smart NBA head coach wouldn't do this, but you never, like, a lineup where you have Asar, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, and Jalen Duren on the court, you're not hitting anything. Like, that's a disgusting lineup, and I hope the coach would never do that. But it's like, again, you need these guys to develop, so they need to be on the court to develop. I don't dislike Ron Holland as much as a lot of people. A lot of people have really fallen off of Ron Holland, and I did a little bit, but not as much as other people. I just think I think this was a weird spot for him to go to because I don't know how much he's going to be able to really develop with the rest of this team.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's that OKC thing where you have so many young guys. It's
And
gonna be
you
hard
gotta
to
start
develop
picking
all
soon.
of them. Yeah,
Eh,
it's gotta get to a certain point to where you start trading away people, or it's just like, hey, this guy could be. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, this guy's just not going to reach his full potential because we don't have
Yeah.
minutes for him.
yeah, exactly.
Next, at 6, the Charlotte Hornets take Saloon Salon. I've still not learned to pronounce this guy's name yet. Wing out of France.
I like the pick.
Mhm.
I do like the pick, especially since I believe Bridges is gonna be a free agent this year.
Yeah,
So they lost him to bring in a wing that is young at 18.
yep.
He can slash. He has his potential is limitless,
Mhm.
right? It just another thing is like he needs to develop a 3-point shot.
Yeah,
That seems to be a running thing so far through 6 picks that we've gone over. But if he can develop a 3-point shot, he can defend multiple positions. He can crash the glass. He can score in transition. But I don't know how much you're gonna get out of him if you cannot put him out there and get even if he corner threes, a reliable corner three
Yeah.
shooter. You know what I mean? Like that's what they need him to at least get is the corner three. Because if you put him out there at the 3 spot and he can't shoot, then teams are just gonna do what they did to Westbrook, like the Lakers did to Westbrook when LeBron was just standing in the paint, basically. Or
Yeah.
just let him shoot.
no, I like to pick too. I think again, kind of like a Ron Holland thing, kind of like a guys we talked about earlier. It's like or like Reed Shepard. Like I don't know what their impact's going to be their rookie year. You know what I mean? Like he's like I said, he's got a lot of potential, but it's just like he's 18 years old. He's got a lot of potential, but it's just how much is he going to be able to effectively impact as a rookie? You know what I mean? He might be a guy
Yeah.
that really might need 2 or 3 years before he's really, really ready to make an impact. But with the Hornets, you have that time. They're not in any way, form close to competing anytime soon. So it's like you have the time if you're Charlotte to take this. Now you have LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Salon. I got to figure out how to pronounce this guy's name. And then Mark Williams. Like you have now 4 pieces you feel comfortable with that like you can build around, you know?
Yeah.
And the next part is finding a backcourt mate for LaMelo Ball. So I think they're getting some pieces. I like where Charlotte's heading. You know what I mean? Like I think he's going to learn. Grant's going to be there for next 2 seasons or so, right? Or at least that's his contract.
I think at least I think it's 3 seasons.
So it's like even if Grant Williams is only there for a year or two, depending if they trade him or not, like he still gets to learn behind Grant Williams, who is a good defender, is really been able to hit jump shot. Like that's a good role player to learn behind to get yourself really started in the NBA. Then obviously his potential could take him much higher than that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Next,
Like I said,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like I said, his ceiling is limitless.
Yeah.
For his potential.
Next at number 7, the Portland Trailblazers take Donovan Clean out of UConn.
I like the pick.
Mhm.
I know I've said that so far for almost everyone, but I really do like the pick. DeAndre Ayton, we don't really know what's going on with DeAndre Ayton. I feel like Portland should move on from Ayton because of how inconsistent he is. And Rob Williams, he's got that injury bug.
Yes, he does.
And I feel like bringing in a guy that is 7'2", 270, 7'7" wingspan, he's going to be an elite rim protector, shot blocker, and he's going to possess a high-level rebounder and lob threat down low. For the Trailblazers, I just really like the pick, like I said, especially because they don't know what's going on with Ayton. We don't know what's going on with Ayton, and if they want to end up trading him or whatever, but I feel like this was the best spot for him to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, he's going to sit behind Ayton for a year or two until they figure that out, and that could be good with him because one of his biggest things right now is his offensive game isn't around that corner yet. And say what you want about DeAndre Ayton, he can score the ball. You know what I mean? It's not, it doesn't stretch the floor that much, but like he's the kind of center that's down in the post that can score the ball. So learning behind DeAndre Ayton might not be bad for him in like developing a post skill set. You know what I mean? Like under the basket skill set, and the only thing is, again, with not being a great offensive center, you would maybe hope he goes to a team with an established good point guard, and the Trailblazers are still figuring that out between like Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp. Like they're still trying to figure out their guard rotation, so it might make it tough for him to really get a good pick and roll type of thing going because he doesn't really have that point guard yet. But again, the Trailblazers are in this spot now where it's like they're getting some young pieces. Obviously, they just brought in Denny. You know what I mean? Like, the Trailblazers could be good quicker than we really realize. I mean, like, you could look at a lineup of, it's a little undersized, but like a lineup of like Scoot, Anthony, Shaden, Denny, Ayton, and then like Donovan Clingan being off the bench. You know what I mean? Like, I think, again, it's a small lineup, and I think at the end of the day, they're going to have to choose between Scoot and Anthony Simons. I don't think they're both going to be able to coexist. That way they can move Shaden up to the 2 and try to get some more size in that lineup. But it's like, yeah, I think this is the best spot so far for Donovan to go.
100%. If he didn't go here, I would have loved him to go at 9 to Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
Either here or Memphis, where I think were the spots where he needed to go, or after they could get the most out of him.
Next, we have, if I'm okay. Next at 8 was Rob Dillingham getting drafted by the Spurs, but then he got traded to the Timberwolves, right?
Yeah, he is. Yep, he's with the Timberwolves.
Okay. Yeah, so now Rob Dillingham, Timberwolves, technically at 8 through a trade. How do you feel about that fit there?
I like it, especially with how we don't really know what's going on with Mike Conley because of how old he's getting. They do have Anthony Edwards, they have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but they need that. They need a scorer off the bench. I know they had Naz Reid, but they need a guard scorer off the bench to try and take some of the weight off of like Ant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like going into the next season, if you can get them like with Rob Dillingham and Naz Reid coming off the bench, each of them could give you like 15 a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like 12 to 15 a game, which is what you're going to want from them, because right there, that puts your bench anywhere from 24 to 30 points.
Yeah.
I mean, they needed bench scoring, especially at that guard position.
Yeah, no, I like it too. Like I said, Mike Conley's at the end of his career. This is a draft pick for like Rob Dillingham in a season or two could be your starting point guard next to Anthony Edwards. And we've seen he's got passing ability, scoring ability, like a really good scorer. And yeah, like I said, take pressure off of Ant, because when it comes down to it, you get down to the clutch, it's between Anthony Edwards and Cat. And we saw they were one of the worst fourth quarter clutch offenses in the league last year because it was between two guys isoing it up all the time. And now bringing in another dynamic scorer at the one spot, or like he's going to play the 1 and the 2 off the bench, but you know what I mean? Like but a guard with another good scoring ability is going to relieve a lot of pressure in that time, because in clutch times you could run Dillingham and Anthony Edwards on the court together just trying to get points. I understand you might not have the defensive of Mike Conley, like the older leadership of Mike Conley, but it's like you have Rudy Gobert, you have Jaden McDaniels, like you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker who can step in times. Like, he's a guy you could put on the court in clutch time and ask him to get you a bucket, and he can.
Yeah, 100% he can. I like the fit.
Mm-hmm. And we saw Anthony Edwards take a step up in his defense this year. Like, they have a lot of defenders on that team. Who's to say in 2 years we're not looking at Rob Dillingham as one of those guys that really develops his defensive side of the ball, and that's a great point guard for him now.
Yeah.
Next, let's see here. We are at number 9. The Memphis Grizzlies take Zach Edey at number 9.
Like I said in the last episode, I like the fit. Memphis needed a center when they traded Steven Adams to the Rockets. And I just really like it. You know what I mean? Edey brings in that, that meanness, that toughness at that center position that they need, and then you can have Triple J slide back to the 4 spot where I feel like where he's more, that's his position. You know what I mean? I feel like he plays more comfortable at the 4 spot. And Zach Edey, 7'4", you know what I mean? 7'4". I mean, when he's going up against someone like Jokic, he might not have the mobility on the outside, but if Jokic tries to, get inside and do one of them post fades or one of them flip ups, Zach Edey has the reach and the length to just deny him. You know what I mean? Like, Zach Edey might not be there offensively, but defensively, you come anywhere near the paint, he's going to affect the shot one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the only thing that scares me with Zach Edey is because, like, the style of center he is just really is starting to get phased out of the NBA.
Yeah.
And again, like, his his defensive speed, the way he's going to be able to go across the court, is going to be something not to worry about, especially because he can't just sit in the paint now. That is in the NBA. But you know what? This is one of those like high upside picks. Like, is it? I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know if I want to classify as this. You know what? No. I think this is more of a floor raiser than a ceiling raiser, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think right now he's going to come in and immediately be decent for them. But I don't know if you're looking at this Zach Edey and you're like, oh yeah, this makes him a contender. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I think he's one of those guys that, like I said, I don't know if he's ever going to be an all-star in this league. And if you come back in 5 years and clip this, then okay, for sure, I'll be happy too. But like, I don't think Zach Edey's ever going to be an all-star. I just think he's going to be one of those guys that's just almost like a Clint Capella, just a consistent, fine center. And it's a guy that, like, you add to your team, it doesn't really move the needle, but right away it's just going to make you a little bit better.
Yeah, I feel like Zach Edey is going to be like one of them centers that you look at him and he averages, like 12 points, anywhere from 11 to 13 rebounds, about 2 blocks, maybe a steal a game. He's just going to be that like defensive center that some teams like to have.
Yeah, I mean him. All right, yeah, but it'll be cool to see Jaren back at the 4 because he doesn't really have the rebounding for the 5.
Yeah.
Next, at number 10, the Utah Jazz take Jalen Williams' little brother, Cody Williams.
I'm going to be honest, I'm going to let you take the floor because I'm not really that versed with Cody Williams.
So, he's got a lot, he's a pretty raw prospect himself. He's got a lot of room to grow. He's got defensive versatility. He's got playmaking at the wing position. He's a guy that runs the floor pretty well in transition and kind of scores that way. His perimeter shooting isn't great. He's also pretty inconsistent. You know what I mean? So it's like, he also had quite a few injuries last year. I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's the Jazz right now, who actually I just saw are entertaining or are going to be listening to trade offers for Lauri Markkanen. So I think they're trying to like fully set into the rebuild, because for the past couple of years they've been trying to like half-ass like, oh, are we competing, or like not competing, but like, oh, we're trying to make the playoffs, or are we rebuilding? I think they're trying to fully enter the rebuild now. And I think Cody Williams could be one of those guys where it's like, you have Cody Williams, you have Keontae George, you have Walker Kessler still, you have the guy they drafted last year. Oh my God, something Hendricks. Why am I blanking on?
I immediately thought of Jimi Hendrix, but
no. Right. Can you look that up real quick? The 4 or 5, 'cause I have my other stuff up. It was something Hendricks. It's like a 4 or 5. That's gonna piss me off because I'm just blanking right now. I've been thinking about football recently.
It's all good. I'm pulling it up right now.
Not Trey Hendricks. Man, I'm sorry, Jess.
Taylor Hendricks.
Taylor Hendricks, yes. Jesus, I'm sorry, guys. So you have some pieces, and I think Cody Williams could fit into that well, where it's like, he's not the most consistent NBA-ready prospect, but you give him 2 to 3 seasons while the team is bad for him to go out there, use his playmaking ability, use his defensive ability, and then just kind of develop a jump shot. I don't think he's ever going to be... I don't know if he's ever going to be a 1 or 2 option on a team, but like, I think he could just be like a... Nah, because they don't really play the same... Like, I kind of want to compare it to Kelly Oubre, not play style wise, but like just one of those small forwards that just kind of always has a job, either like maybe like a lower end starting or a good bench guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So like maybe it's not great at value at the 10 pick, but it's like I think it is great value, because like, yeah, if he turns out to be a bench piece, you're like, okay. But it's also like he has potential where he could be damn good. You know what I mean? Like, being young and having that much raw potential, he could be really good. You look at his brother, Jalen Williams. You know what I mean? It's like you see his brother now becoming a really good player in his second year, like after a second year. So maybe you get that out of him. I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell.
And he is only 19 years old.
Exactly. That's a lot of the prospects in here have a lot of room to grow. So that's interesting.
They do. They really do.
Next, at 11, the Bulls take Matas Buzelis out of the G League.
He's a Chicago native. I think Kenny, I think the numbers on the board, I think they were excited about this pick.
Yeah.
Bringing a hometown in here. I mean, he's 6'10". He's very athletic. he struggled to shoot the three ball for the Ignite last year, but his mechanics are clean, so I feel like he's going to be able to get that tuned up in the NBA, especially if they make that a present point for them to develop for him, which I think they will. He's gotten better as a defender, so I mean, like, especially with, I believe DeMar is going to be a free agent now, right?
Yeah.
So you could either, you can have him come off the bench and put, you know what I mean, or you could start him.
Well, you still have Patrick Williams too.
Yes, I mean, you could slide Patrick Williams up into the starting lineup, or keep Williams on the bench and put Matas up there in the starting lineup. You know what I mean? And I feel like, obviously, like, I feel like we've said this almost about every prospect so far. But if he can just fine tune that 3-point shot a little bit, he's gonna be a dangerous piece for the Bulls.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where, like I said, yeah, he's got good defensive mechanics. He's actually not that bad of he's pretty damn good rim protector for you know, his size. He's 6'9", so yeah, I guess that's not too crazy to say. But like, yeah, you got to worry about his offense, his jump shot, and I unfortunately feel like sometimes that's a common build that comes out of the draft that just doesn't really work out. Like, let's be honest, this is offensive league. If you can't score the ball, you're gonna be hard pressed to find minutes. And even like it just because they have the same thing in Patrick Williams, a guy that has shown defensive potential, just struggles to score the ball. And like sometimes I feel like these teams, to have a couple of these guys on your team can be helpful for a contender. But if you're a young team drafting multiple of these guys, it's like it gets a little weird. Because like now you have 3 to 4 guys that can kind of defend, but they can't score the ball. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like there's only so much you can do. Like look at Matisse Thybulle, a great defender, but doesn't touch the court because he can't fucking score the ball at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just, and I apologize for cursing. I try not to, but it's like I just sometimes worry about this build of player. Now it's nothing with Matas. Like Matas could be great, and I'm actually a fan of him, and I hope he does really, really well. I'm just saying, like a lot of these times, these players that come out of the draft that are like, oh, these guys are good defenders. They struggle, maybe they can get their shot. It's just like you have to worry about it. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just because I don't know. I don't want to talk down on him because again, I like the guy, but it's just. You can either become a guy like Lou Dort, who kind of develops a shot and becomes a good small forward on a good winning team, or it can be a Matisse Thybulle, who's still a great defender, but because he literally just can't score the ball, can't do anything. Like an Andre Roberson, you know what I mean? Like you can't have him on the court.
Yeah, I can understand that 100%. If you can't score the ball, then there's not really a chance unless you're one of the upper echelon defenders.
Yeah, and at that point, there can only really be 1 or 2 of you in the rotation, even then.
Yeah.
Like it just, yeah. But again, like I said, I like Montez. I don't want to speak down on him. I think he could be great for the Bulls. A lot of potential. So, next, at 12, we have Nikola Topic going to the Thunder, and I'm pretty sure they're saying not confirmed, but they're thinking he's not going to play at all next season because of his ACL.
For him to go anywhere, I'm glad it was the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Thunder are young and they have so many pieces.
Yeah.
That they don't need to rush him back.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They can give him a year to fully get that ACL healed, get the playing shape, get ready the whole 9 yards for next season. You know what I mean? Well, not next season, but the following season. It would be technically his year 2.
Yeah. Kind of like what they did with Chet.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like that is the best scenario for him. You know, not rush him back and just let him progress how he needs to progress. And if he plays this season coming up, then great. If we can't play him till next season, so he's fully healthy, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? They're not hurting for, you know, like a point guard. They have Shea.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They have Case and Wallace too.
Yeah, and I mean, even at the you know what I mean? Even at the 2 guard, they just traded for Caruso and they have Lou Dort.
Yep.
So I mean, there's not a need to bring him in and have him play immediately. So I feel like sitting him out is the best thing that could happen to him.
People were making jokes. He's 18 again, so super, super young guy. But people were making the jokes that there seems to be a lot of parallels between him and Josh Giddey. On the court, obviously, on the court. In the fact that, like, they're good ball handlers that can... Okay. Coming out of the draft, Josh Giddey, I should say. Young... Because I think Josh Giddey was 18 or 19 when he was drafted. Like, young 18-year-old that can pass really, really well. Got some defensive... Or like a good ball handler, can finish, can pass, like, but struggles to shoot. And that's exactly what Josh Giddey was coming out of when he came to the Thunder. And rookie year, second year, Josh Giddey was not a bad player by any means. He was pretty, you know what I mean? He was a good player. He had a rough year this past year, and then also all the off the court stuff. I'm not on a Josh Giddey. I'm not on a defend train for Josh Giddey by any means, but it's like the off court stuff, and then the way he struggled last season kind of made people forget about his first 2 years, so he was actually pretty good. So you know, I don't know though. Like, I think again, we talked about the Thunder earlier. They have a lot of pieces. It's like, you know, you have Shea, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort. It's like Isaiah Joe. As a rookie, he's not going to play, most likely. But it's like, in a long term, where does he find his minutes, and who loses minutes because of it?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder about that. Maybe Isaiah Joe isn't there after next season. That's some shooting you lose, which is bad because, again, right at this point, Topic isn't a great shooter, so losing a shooter like Isaiah Joe would probably hurt. Cason Wallace was just a rookie last year, so like he's a great defender. Like, I struggle long term where he's going to fit in and who's going to lose minutes because of it. But you know what? He's a great player, good team. Yeah, like I said, they're not going to force him to come and play because they don't need him to play right now. So yeah, I like the pick. Next, at 13, I actually mocked this one. I might have mocked a few ones before, but I haven't really been paying attention. But I remember I mocked this one. No, did I? No, I didn't. I had him going 10. Never mind. I just remember this one so well because you had Justin Edwards going here.
Yep.
Who I don't even think got drafted in the first round at all. Did he?
Nah, he went to the second round.
Yeah. The Kings take Devin Carter at 13.
I like the pick. I believe he's a guard, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and besides De'Aaron Fox, who's their backup? Who's a point guard on that team besides De'Aaron Fox?
Davion Mitchell, but I think they're going to be looking to move him.
So now you bring in, that could be your backup.
Yeah.
For De'Aaron Fox, you can learn from De'Aaron Fox. He's a disruptive perimeter defender. He's a good playmaker. I feel like, especially playing behind De'Aaron Fox is going to help him a lot.
And he also really improved his jump shot this last season.
Yes, he did. I feel like at 13, for the Kings to get Devin Carter, I feel like is going to help them. It might even help them this year coming up because then you're taking kind of like the playmaking load or so, you know what I mean, the scoring load off of
you're getting
Fox and some of your top guys.
You're getting a guy that comes off your bench that, you know, can score the ball, can defend, can pass. With Davion Mitchell, you really weren't getting much of that. So you can let De'Aaron Fox take a couple minutes of rest, and obviously there'll be a drop off because De'Aaron Fox is one of the best guards in the league. But it's like you can still rely on that guy out there to run the offense and, you know, get you some buckets.
Yeah, and I mean, and if they get into a situation like they did last year with all the injuries, now you have a guy that you can kind of give a little bit more of the reins to and see what he can really do.
I worry. I'm a little curious how they're going to take this long term because De'Aaron Fox is like 6'3", 6'4", maybe even 6'2". Devin Carter's also 6'2". So it's like long term, how is this going to fit? Because we saw this with they drafted Tyrese Halliburton with De'Aaron Fox and they ended up trading Tyrese Halliburton away, and it's like I don't know Devin Carter's been a pretty good defender, but it's like until you see him on an NBA court, it's all speculation with that. I wonder how long term if they could play next to each other consistently.
Yeah.
Next, we're running out of time here, so let's speed up a little bit. We're one more pick in the lottery, so we can kind of get through that. At 14, Bub Carrington gets drafted by the Trailblazers, who then traded to the Wizards.
He was involved in that the Denny pick.
Yeah. So Bub Carrington ends up in Washington.
Tyus Jones, he's heading for unrestricted free agency.
Yes.
And they bring in an 18-year-old offensive-minded guard that I feel like that'll help them. You know what I mean? Especially since they're going to be possibly losing Tyus Jones. And he's a long-term guard prospect. Like, they could have him for the next 6 years.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, this is something that in the next 6 years, especially when you pair him with Alex Sarr, you know what I mean? In the next 6 years, they could flip the script and be, you know, like a 4 seed. 4 is a little high, but you know what I mean? Like, they could run with this progression and just absolutely just carry it up into being, you know, like 5, 6 seed in the
Yeah,
East in the
yeah. I
next
think
like 5 years.
the only thing with him is that like right now I'm worried about his shooting still isn't great. His 3-point shooting isn't great, and you wonder like how long if he can develop that kind of thing. But he's like I said, he's 6'4", so a big guard. It would be good. You can have him, Bilal. I don't know. They got a lot of different pieces. Them trading Denny is still, I still, whatever. But then they end up getting Bub Carrington out of the deal. So it's like if Bub Carrington ends up better than Denny's ever been, I don't think they'll care as much as they do right now, honestly. And then he gets to learn behind Brogdon for a little bit. You mean Brogdon's just one of the best consistent backup guards in this league for a long, long time, and playmaking hopefully maybe can help his shooting defensively. Like I think again, he's going to a team with no expectations, which is always I think a big deal for rookies. Like where you don't have to worry about being great right away. You have time to learn, get better. You have one of the best young bigs now coming out with Alex Sarr. You have a couple defenders around you. You got to maybe work on some shooting. You have Corey Kispert, fine. But you have a good development guy in front of you with like some Malcolm Brogdon. You have Jordan Poole on your team, so you can see what not to do. No, I'm sorry, Jordan. I think it's a good value pick. It's at the end of the lottery, so it's like I think we're now getting to the point in the draft where it's like if these guys work out, people aren't really as upset. People don't really give a shit if a 14th overall pick doesn't work out. But I think he could definitely be your point guard of the future.
Oh, 100%.
Now, before we get out of here, we want to talk about was it just that DeJounte trade or was there one more?
There was another one, but it was a little bit smaller. Dallas traded Tim Hardaway Jr., 2025 second round pick, and 2 2028 second round picks for Quentin Grimes. What's your reaction to that?
I don't know. I don't think this really means anything. I think it's just the Pistons taking on some salary cap because they can. They have the money. Quentin Grimes just wasn't really going to crack their rotation. Quentin Grimes is a young guy. Maybe the Dallas Mavericks, maybe he takes some minutes from like a guy like Dante Exum next season, but like he can shoot the ball fine. That's not really much else he does. I think this is more of a salary dump than it is anything else. I don't think this trade player-wise is going to mean much of anything, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's just more of the Mavericks getting some salary cap off the books with Tim Hardaway Jr.
Alrighty, and now on to the bigger of the two trades. The Hawks trade DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans for Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, a 2025 first-round pick via the Lakers, and a 2027 first-round pick least favorable of Milwaukee/New Orleans. I just want to say this. You can go back into videos back towards the trade deadline. I called it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely something that's been talked about for a while now. And I like this trade. The Pelicans, they get DeJounte Murray. They get the point guard they've been really searching for a long, long time. I'm not sure how the backcourt's going to work between him and CJ McCollum. I guess that's something they'll kind of figure out. Again, with Brandon Ingram. Like, the trades that people have been talking about was Brandon Ingram being in the trade. And the fact that we were able to get him without giving up Brandon Ingram is crazy. Like I said, you have a lineup, like we talked about earlier with Yves, whatever his name is. Like, you have a lineup of DeJounte, CJ, Zion, or Brandon Ingram, Zion, and then center to be named. Like, they just fall into this role, and I think I talked about it during videos before. Like, they fall into this role where they have a lot of, like, good pieces, but it's never enough to take them over the top. Like, I don't know. It's like in 2K when you have a 7-man rotation of all 82 to 85 overalls. Like, it's cool and all, but you never really get anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Zion's, like, actually like a 90-something, but, like, he also misses a lot of games, so you can't really rely on that. Like, I don't know.
And I know there's been talks of, them trying to split up Zion and Brandon Ingram. I know there's been talks about that for a little bit last year.
I think now with trading for DeJounte Murray, I think they're going to give them another season together before they make that move. You're like, oh, okay, now that we have a real point guard, can we see if it works? Maybe this is. Yeah. Maybe DeJounte Murray is the missing piece. Now they get like a genuine real point guard. Maybe this team takes a jump to another level. You know what I mean?
and maybe they do bring back Valanciunas, and then there's your starting center. Which I mean,
I don't know if they have the money to. If I'm being completely honest with you.
I don't know, but let's just say they do. Now there you go. Now you have your starting center that it's Messi, right?
Yeah.
That can learn from him
Messi,
potentially. Messi that can learn maybe a 3-point shot from the corner, or extend his range out a little bit.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting for sure. It's going to be interesting. And even for the Hawks, like you get Dyson Daniels, who's a young guard, pretty much all defense right now. He doesn't really have much of an offensive game, but he's a young guard. Larry Nance, just I don't know how much he's going to play. Then you get two picks. You get a Lakers pick, who it's the 2025 one.
Yep.
So
it'll be next season.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably going to be late teens, early 20s again, like it was this year. Like I don't know how much you value that. And then a pick from either the Pelicans or the Milwaukee, whoever's less favorable. So that actually means whichever team is better, they're going to get that pick because it'll be a worse pick, right?
I believe so, yes.
So it's like if Milwaukee is in the conference finals, they're getting picked like 27, 28, 29. So it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, and then if this Pelican team works out, like if either one of these teams get to at least the second round, the pick's in the 20. So it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't know.
I know when we were talking about it earlier in the year, everything, like almost every time that we talked about it, it was like, well, Brandon Ingram's got to be involved.
You would have thought, right?
Hawks. Yeah, like that's what we were talking about earlier in the year, because it's like, well, the Hawks are going to want someone good if they're giving up DeJounte, and they gave up Larry Nance, Dyson Daniels, and 2 picks at, depending on who they take at them selections, or if they trade them, X, Y, and Z. Right now, it's looking like the Pelicans kind of, they won that trade.
Yeah, it looks like it right now. Again, it depends which direction the Hawks are trying to go into at this point in time. We don't really know. With them not asking for Brandon Ingram, maybe they really are trying to go into a rebuild with their new young wings and stuff like that. So if that's the case, then getting Dyson Daniels is cool because, like I said, a guy that's defensively really good right now that maybe maybe he does start. Because, like, obviously you have Bogdan, but he's more of one of the best 6 men in the league score. Maybe you want to keep him on the bench and just put a defender next to Trae Young in the backcourt again.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see, because, I mean, we still have a long free agency to go. I think, doesn't free agency start tomorrow?
The 30th.
As we're recording this? The 30th? See, it starts tomorrow, so who knows what's going on, we could see Miles Bridges and Klay Thompson both go to the 76ers. You never know what'll happen.
I guess you're right. Technically, we could.
Technically, we could. Anything's possible.
Yeah, no. Anything else you really want to talk on before we get out of here?
Not really.
Well, looks like that is...
LeBron, I believe LeBron opted out and searched for a new deal.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's going to be back anyway. They're just,
Yeah, looking for a new deal. Westbrook picked up his $4 million option.
Yep, he'll be back.
And Kevin Love declined his $4 million player option. And I guess he's in search of a new deal.
Hey, he wants... Yeah, okay, I respect. He wants one more kind of payday before
it's time to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, I respect it. Well, that is going to do it for another episode of Time Out with J&G. Go check out my YouTube channel, Cloud2K. Been doing 2K content. We got one more Madden video coming out before that series ends, which should be out like today or tomorrow. Then Police Simulator. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. I will see all you guys next... What's today? Saturday? We'll see all you guys on Wednesday. Peace.